Welcome to another edition of the Air It Out podcast presented by Inside the Hashes. My name is Juan Pablo Gordon Camargo, and I'm joined on a full call of football experts here with me today. And I do mean full because we got one of our best mates back here on the call today. I got Darren, I got Darius, I got Avery, all on this call today. What's up, guys?
What's good? What's good?
Darius, Darius, it's been what, like 2 weeks since we last saw you?
I had to take a little vacation, get my mind right, regroup, but it feels good to be back. I just want to say, I saw my boy Cam.
Oh, here we go. Listen,
I
just want to say,
I saw my boy Cam.
Seattle has a better receiving core than Dallas. Tyler Lockett, David Moore, Josh Gordon. I know he's not playing, but he's on the roster. DK Metcalf, Philip Dorsett. I'm sorry, it's a better roster than Dallas.
So you're going to count somebody that's not there? You're not counting somebody not there for third.
And he didn't do anything.
Hey, all right. Whoa. We're letting the fantasy filter into the reality of this podcast. Speaking of, updated for all you guys that follow us, Inside the Hashes has its own fantasy league. Follow us on our social media to track our rankings as of who number one is talking to you right now.
I don't even want to talk about the rankings, bro. They're rigged. I don't like. How do you win and you drop? How do you win and you drop?
It's not that you won, Darius. It's how you
know. I want to know.
To the worst team, you still didn't blow them out.
You said it's how you win. I had injured players and won. What are we? And I was number 2, and somebody jumped 6 spots to
I don't know if you guys watch college football, but isn't the reason that Alabama and Clemson are always number one is because they blow people out by amazing fashion? Treat that like it's this. It's the same way.
Okay, well, treat it like an upset. I upset Chris because technically I was supposed to lose that. I had injured players and still won. That's an upset. I won. I was number 2. If anything, I stay at number 2. I'm not even saying I got to be at number 1. But somebody jumped 6 spots to get to number 2 after I win and I drop. It doesn't make sense, y'all. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to know who it is.
And I won. That's what I'm gonna say.
Now, Juan, I get you jumping to number 1. That makes sense.
See, Juan,
you won big. That makes sense. You jumped to number 1. I'm not even mad at that. I kind of expected it. I was like, all right, well, I'll stay at number 2 in my head. Like, okay, cool. Somebody jumped 6 spots just because they had more points. Nah,
Let me do the rankings again. Let me do the rankings again.
At Mac.
It's an unbiased party who evaluates all 12 players and puts them in the
Juan does it.
Yeah, no. If I would, I put you at the bottom just for the fact that you're a Patriots fan. And you know that.
Wow. You're going to put a team that's won their first game at the bottom.
I'm going to put the Evil Empire at the bottom. So, yeah, I'm going to.
That sounds like hate.
It sounds like hate, but, from a bitter Jets fan, do you really expect anything less out of me?
Oh.
You're right.
So, and, as much as I like to talk about how I'm just kicking fantasy left and right all day, every day with y'all, we do unfortunately have a show here to do, so that's why I'm going to go into today's rundown. And for our first talk of the rundown today, we're going to start off with the major injury news. Chargers center Mike Pouncey's 2020 NFL season is officially done. The veteran center will undergo season-ending hip surgery later this month. This will be the second straight year Pouncey will be out for a full season. Last year, he was also out with a season-ending injury. And he didn't even play last week against the Bengals because he was tending to his hip, which he suffered in 2016 and has been bothering him ever since. The 31-year-old center could be looking to be out of a job near the end of the year. In COVID-19 news, the Chiefs confirmed earlier today that a fan who attended the season opener against the Houston Texans at Arrowhead Stadium has tested positive for the coronavirus. According to Kansas City Health Department, the individual and the individual's group were seated in the lower level of the stadium. And as of right now, 10 fans have been quarantined, but there's no confirmation of how many of them officially have COVID. The NFL today also ruled to not move the league's trade deadline off of the November 3rd election day this year. In a league-wide memo sent on Wednesday, the NFL says that coaches, player personnel, and video staff may be present November 3rd to evaluate possible player transactions among other purposes, and that the league office will be staffed to handle all player personnel transitions. According to NFL Network Tom Pelissero, the plan is there will be enough personnel on hand to handle all logistical issues at the trade deadline without necessitating moving the date. Staying with the NFL for a moment, the league has announced 130 modern era nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2021. First-year eligible names include Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Calvin Megatron Johnson, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, and Jared Allen, among 9 others. Additional nominees include Donovan McNabb, Sean Alexander, Chad Johnson, or as we know him, Chad Ochocinco, Takeo Spikes, Rodney Harrison, and just so many more names. Hall of Fame finalists will be named the next February, the night before the Super Bowl. And finally, this season, the NFL has dedicated themselves to addressing and condemning racist attitudes and actions that occur in their communities. With that said, on Tuesday, the San Francisco 49ers publicly condemned a fan that sent racist messages to Arizona Cardinals star safety Buda Baker, going as far as to say that they not only announced that they have started an investigation into the matter, but that once the guilty party is found, said fan will be banned from all future 49ers games and activities. Baker took to Twitter on Monday to share screenshots of the DMs he received on Instagram. Buda said in his tweet, quote, I'm all good with opposing fans talking trash, but this right here, man, all you can do is pray for people like this. And with that, we conclude today's rundown. Avery, I want to start off with you on some thoughts here. Maurkice Pouncey, a veteran star safety in the league. He's 31, but has injury issues with the Chargers stemming from the last 5 years. Is this the end of the line for him?
I don't think so, but it could be. I don't think that it will be. I think a team will give him a chance. A team that kind of needs a veteran guy to come in and maybe train up a rookie guy, could potentially give him a chance and, you know, give him on a veteran minimum type deal, right? You're getting a who I consider an all-pro player. He's made 4 Pro Bowls in his career. I consider him an all-pro center. I think if you can bring him in at a veteran minimum and he can play well and actually, you know, play throughout the season, you kind of got a steal. And then if he doesn't, at the very least, he's teaching the young guy the tricks of the trade on how he can play. I think the real issue, though that is extremely sad that he is dealing with this injury, I think the real issue is the fact that the Chargers seem to be injury-ridden. Like, you lose, I mean, arguably the 2 best players on either side of the ball for your franchise, and Derwin James and Maurkice Pouncey for the season. Those are 2 blows that you really can't. I don't know how you make that up, right? So that's going to be tough. You know, you lose the second signal caller on offense, and your center, probably the main one, since this is Tyrod's first year there. And then again, like I said, you lose what I consider probably the heart and soul of that defense, the signal caller on the back end, and Darwin. It's not shaping out to look like it's going to be a really good season. If they can pull it out and do some things, I'm going to be very, very impressed because they're not starting well.
Just a quick correction. It's actually Tyrod Taylor's second year with the Chargers. He was just the backup behind Phillip Rivers in 2019.
Correct.
Darren, I want to move it to you. We spoke about how impactful players like Derwin James and Mike Pouncey are. And, you know, with the NFL announcing it's a 130 nominees list and me just reading off just a couple of the names on there, who do you think is a guaranteed Hall of Famer in the modern era?
It's pretty simple when you think about it. You got to go Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is going to be the first ballot Hall of Famer for what he did and the way he ended his career. He ended his career on top, literally on top of almost every significant record there was. So you have to understand not only that, but he was able to go out on top, winning a Super Bowl in his very last season.
That's a guarantee.
With everything he's done in his illustrious career, I feel like he's definitely going to be that first ballot Hall of Famer.
With a guarantee with that, who do you think is a player on that list that should be going to the Hall of Fame? I listed guys like Chad Johnson, Sean Alexander, DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
There's 3 that's guaranteed for me.
Yeah, there is, but I'll be honest. I don't believe he's going to be chosen in this particular final, but I really want to see him in at least his first three go. Calvin Johnson.
Hmm.
I don't believe Calvin Johnson will go in this Hall of Fame class. But in his first three, I feel like he deserves to be able to go because you have to understand the impact that Calvin Johnson had on the game when he played. He would routinely not get double teamed, but triple teamed and still make the play for the Lions. He was the Lions' offense. He was the Lions' heartbeat. And when he left, it became Matthew Stafford's.
I would love for him to get into, but there's no way he's first ballot if T.O.'s not. I mean,
That's why I said
Agreed.
I don't believe he will get in this one, but I feel as though he deserves to get in within his first three.
and if it does happen, I'm going to
Now, don't get it twisted. I do think that it was wrong how they treated T.O.
You know, it's
T.O.
funny,
should have, for
Absolutely.
me, he should have been one of the first ballot, if not his second go around. Easily.
it's funny. I thought Avery would be preaching for Roddy White in this situation, but that's neither here nor there. Darius, really quick, I want to go with you here. With the Kansas City Chiefs having effectively found a fan that had COVID and the contact tracing measures that they took to find him, it's like, it's a great. It goes to show how well the NFL has prepped themselves for these kind of situations and have taken the precautions needed to make sure that no one gets hurt or infected because of COVID, or keep it to a minimum. But what will it take for things to get so out of hand that they would have to suspend the season, in your opinion?
For players to really, I think big name. We talked about this before. If big name players, start to test positive for COVID-19, let's imagine, and I don't wish this on him because I got him on my fantasy. Let's imagine Patrick Mahomes, gets COVID-19. Other big name players like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Ezekiel Elliott, and it's not just these players, but it's the coaches and different things like that. I think that's when the league will actually be like, all right. But I don't see the league getting to that point, and we got to look at it like this. I think when Kansas City decided, hey, we're gonna have fans, they knew the risk that they were putting their fans in, and it's almost like, okay, if you come to our stadium, you are at a risk of getting COVID, and it's not really our fault because you know what's going on. So I feel like with the fan situation, Kansas City handled it the best situation they could. When fans do start to come back, there's going to be cases and chances where fans can contract COVID-19 by going to these games. Even if you socially distance, there's still other different ways that a fan probably could catch COVID-19. But I definitely think if big name players and a numerous amount of players start to test positive, the league will decide to shut down. But I don't see that happening because, like you said, Juan, the league is doing. I think the league is handling it the best way they can. Just like we look at the NBA with the bubble, and then we look at MLB with the postseason. They're going to do a bubble too. So you're starting to see the NFL really try to take as much control they can with COVID-19 and making sure they're protecting their players, and then also they're going to make sure they can protect their fans if and when fans do start to get back in the stadiums.
Future weeks are not really guaranteed in the league because of COVID and how unpredictable the situation is. But we're just happy that we have at least 1 week already in the books already, which moves us into our first topic of the day, week one thoughts and takeaways from this season. And guys, week one was just beautiful to watch. So many good games to watch. I had Red Zone tuned in the whole time, watched every touchdown, every red zone possession available, every pick six, every incomplete pass. I was there for it. And before I give my pick for my takeaways, I want to kind of give it around here for a minute. I want to start with Darius on it first. Your takeaways from week one game that stood out to you and why?
I think the biggest game that really I'm gonna do an honorable mention, and this is very biased, but obviously the Patriots game, and it's just because of what Cam Newton has been throughout the entire offseason. Teams writing him off, the media writing him off, and for him to really come into a new system and play efficient, he didn't do a lot, but he did what was asked for him to do. He made the passes, he ran the ball, he finished for over 70+ yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he didn't turn the ball over. And it was at times where he looked like the old Cam, and obviously the defense looked very well. So I definitely do think Cam is in a race situation, and I really hope we re-sign him because I do like that Cam Newton and Josh McDaniels that comment. But the game that really stood out to me, I think it should be a little bit obvious, but it's the Arizona Cardinals against the Super Bowl defending champs 49ers. And it's
Told you.
simply because DeAndre Hopkins, and this is, I know I said the wild hot take with his yards and all that, but DeAndre Hopkins went off on the San Francisco defense that we consider the best defense in the league. And Kyler Murray looked like an early MVP candidate, and he went in a hostile environment and got the win. But we shouldn't be surprised that the Cardinals are a team that can really challenge the 49ers, because when you look back last year, this is the same team that really gave the 49ers a run for their money both times they played. San Fran was up early, but you saw towards the third and the fourth quarter, Arizona started to figure them out, and Kyler Murray started to figure out the defense, and he started to run the ball, and he started to throw the ball effectively. You throw in the fact that he has DeAndre Hopkins, obviously Larry Fitzgerald. I think, to me, that was really the game. And it really wasn't an upset game, but a lot of people really probably didn't have Arizona winning the way that they did. It's like, okay, San Fran, Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo, the offense, different things like that. So to me, that was like one of the biggest takeaways, biggest games for me.
San Francisco set to face the New York Jets. Cardinals set to face the Washington football team. Patriots going up to Seattle, and Miami taking on the Buffalo Bills. Avery, you're okay. Your game that stood out for you this week and won.
I'm going to do an honorable mention as well. I'm going to say the Browns and Ravens game. Obviously, the Ravens came out looking like who the Ravens are. But the biggest takeaway is that Baker, to this point in his career, is a bust. He played horrible. I mean, some of the deep passes he was throwing to Odell Beckham were just not close at all. It was just some of the reads he was making. He was holding on the ball entirely too long. It was just really, really bad to watch. I thought he played horrific. And to this point, I think the Browns have to start thinking about potentially moving on, because if he's going to continue to play like this, it's going to be a very long season. But the game for me was the New York Giants against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Saquon Barkley got outrushed by Danny Dimes. That is that cannot happen. That cannot happen. He had less than 20 rushing yards. Like, their offensive line is abysmal. I understand that the Steelers' defense is no joke. They're no slouches. They come to play. But that is unacceptable. Point blank and period. I don't care if you got to get a tripping call every single play in order. You push somebody, grab them, do something. That was horrible to watch.
It's funny you say that, because while Saquon had less yards, he was one heck of a blocker, ironically, with former Giants running back Tiki Barber saying that he's not an every down back, that Saquon can't block. I saw some effective blocking happen.
Amazing. He definitely took a leap in recognizing blitz packages and picking up the blitzers off the edge and different things like that. So Saquon's clear. He's not the problem. Danny Dimes is not the problem. I mean, if you watched that drive where it ended in the pit where he got hit on his arm, and it got caught by Hayward. That drive was phenomenal. You see the flashes of what Daniel Jones can do when he has time, when he's getting the ball, when everything is on time. Man, that offensive line is horrible, horrible, horrible. And I really feel bad for Saquon Barkley. They are ruining. I'm talking about a top 5 all-time talent. There's no reason that this guy should not perennially get over 100 yards every. I mean, come on, man. That was hard to watch.
It's like watching Barry Sanders on the Lions in the modern day era. Darren, your game from week 1 and your takeaways from it.
So I was going to do an honorable mention as well, but I don't need to. Avery said it just so well. And I'm gonna say one more thing on it. The way Lamar was passing the ball, people, not running the ball. He only had 45 yards, right? But the way he was able to pass the ball,
nope.
I'm telling you, if he can continue growing, it will be amazing. 20 for 25 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
It wasn't the passing, man. It was the decision making.
It had to be the passing injury because that rushing
just so
offense was
amazing.
out to only 107 total yards combined, with Lamar leading the way with 45 rushing yards. So it had to be the passing somehow, in my opinion. But
The decision making.
But
really quick, like what is your
so my surprise, no one noticed it. No one saw this game. The Jaguars
I
winning
was
a
gonna
football
say
game.
that. I was
The
gonna
Jaguars
say
beating the Colts. No one seen that coming.
Minshew!
Everyone had the Jaguars losing. Everyone thought the Jaguars had a terrible, terrible roster, and they're just not. They're in rebuild mode. They are in rebuild mode. Everyone said,
They suck
not
at
to the
it.
Jaguars. They did not hear it. They did not hear it. The offense was looking pretty good with Minshew firing off. Oh my God.
I told you they're not thinking. They're just
I'm telling you guys, you got to understand the way they have that defense is now nice and young, and these guys can grow together. And it's enough of them where it's at every single level, other than probably safety. If this team can continue on and grow within the next year to 2 years, watch out. Jaguars might be back.
yes or no answers here, real quick, gentlemen? Is Gardner Minshew a quarterback?
Is he a what?
A franchise.
Just yes or no answers. Is Gardner Minshew a franchise quarterback? And the Facebook user Wilson for MVP haven't even touched Seahawks yet, but I have to agree with you on that so far because he deserved it last year. But real quick, yes or no, guys? Is Gardner Minshew a franchise quarterback?
Yes.
No.
Avery?
Yeah, no.
I'm on the Minshew train.
So we
I'm
have
on the Minshew train.
I'm gonna put mine for yes, but now I'm gonna take my week 1 game of the week. Minshew is everything Baker was supposed to be. I have to agree with you, Facebook user.
I need to see it one more year.
You know,
I see it this year. We talking.
That Facebook user may be on something with that comment.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna give my week 1 pick now. I don't really contribute much usually, but this one was just too much that I had to because not only was this game a major upset of the week, but it was also one that I called on my hot takes on the last podcast, and both our producer Jerome Jones and one of our Thomas is aware of what I'm bringing up here. I'm bringing up the Washington football team upsetting the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. And, you can put up Adam Gaither all you want, but the fact is, I was right. I called that upset. Granted, it was not Alex Smith that made the comeback, but rather it was the Washington football team's defense that did it in the first place. Let me just write it off for you. Chase Young, 2nd overall pick, Chase Young, who was hyped to be a pass rushing phenomenon, 1.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles on the day. Washington as a whole, 8 sacks on the day. That secondary with 2 rookies at cornerback is far better than when they had Josh Norman, an overpaid cornerback, manning one of those sides. I mean, I'll just read it off here right now. I got Fabian Moreau and Jimmy Moreland both picked off Carson Wentz twice in the second half, and that Washington defense with a defensive line full of first rounders that have proven to be able to get to the quarterback really did a number on a tattered Eagles defense. Carson Wentz, 270 yards through the air, lost a total of 63 yards in sacks as a result. And still had only 2 touchdowns on the day. He did Carson Wentz things. Beautiful passes to the rookie Jalen Reagor and to Dallas Goedert on a deep pass. But Wentz just couldn't get the job done. I love him as a quarterback. He's a great player. The offensive line just didn't do him any favors. Got injured, and honestly, I just gotta give it. I was really impressed by what Washington was able to pull off.
They had no offensive line.
Philadelphia, and it just wasn't.
They had no offensive line. Anybody could have expected that. I mean,
that was Swiss cheese on Swiss cheese.
There's 2 reasons the Eagles lost this game. Number 1 is their offensive line. Number 2, Carson Wentz holds the ball too long. That's it. I don't want to hear nothing about Washington's defense. I don't want to hear nothing about their offense. I don't want to hear nothing about none of the rest of that crap.
A win is a win.
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 Shout out to them for getting the win. But
Well,
Offensive
that
line,
that
still
offensive
prestige.
line by the Eagles really is suffering, man. I mean, you're starting left tackle gone. You're starting right guard gone, and it just injuries are really just piling up into a COVID season, which moves us on to our second topic of the day: our injury roundup and what injuries have really hurt teams going into week 2. I mean, right now, the list of big names on injury is astounding. The Saints, Michael Thomas, Bucks, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. The Indianapolis Colts, Marlon Mack. The San Francisco 49ers, Richard Sherman and George Kittle. The Jets, Le'Veon Bell. The Raiders, Trent Brown. The Bills, Matt Milano. And the list just keeps going, gentlemen. And the preseason was the time in which injuries usually took place because it was the first introduction to contact after a while, as well as the fact that people could recover just in time for the start of the season. But week 1 has been a bloodbath in terms of injuries. So, guys, I just got to ask, out of all the injuries that you've seen this week, which one is going to be the most impactful going into week 2? Avery first.
I started to say the Buccaneers with Godwin and Evans, but they're more day to day than it is really looking like it's a long term thing for both of those guys. Then I was going to say the Colts with Marlon Mack being out for the year, but they've got Jonathan Taylor, and we all kind of expected him to end up being the starter anyway. So I'm going to have to go with the 49ers. You lose it's another Chargers situation. You lose the heart and soul of not just the offense, the team and George Kittle for who knows how long. I mean, we're talking about a couple of weeks, and you just lost to Arizona, who, again, people kind of pegged you guys to win that game, except for myself. And you gotta think that Seattle is going to be Seattle. You're in a very, very, very tough division. The Rams just won their game. Like, you lose George Kittle, and then you lose Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is the guy on the defense. I know he's not the Richard Sherman of but Richard Sherman is still a premier corner in this league, and he is the captain, the thing that makes that defense run. Like, we talk about so much about Nick Bosa and all of this. Richard Sherman is the one who sets the tone. That's the guy who's got the voice in the locker room. That's the guy who really does the things that you don't really see on film, like film can't really catch. It's the little things, man. Richard Sherman and George Kittle, we're going to have to see. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to show us that he's Jimmy Garoppolo and that, like, what he's made of, because he doesn't have his weapon. Deebo Samuel looks, again, we don't know the situation with him and his injuries. Like, there could be a pretty tough stretch for the 49ers. The next, I would say, 5 to 6 games.
49ers set to face the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. So let's go Jets. Chris Thomas, not Chris Thomas. Darren, I'm sorry, man. Who out of all these injuries, man? Like, Ravens are relatively healthy with regards to everyone else in the league. Which team is being the most affected right now by injuries?
Don't bring up that name.
You know how that guy.
You know what it is. You know what it is. But actually, I'm going to go with another NFC team, and you got already know who's coming. Michael Thomas, people. Michael Thomas. And I'm going with Michael Thomas because of the first week. Emmanuel Sanders and Drew Brees is not yet connected. They were not able to do it that well yet. And honestly,
touchdown on the out route where he had
that. Yes, it was a good pass, but it was more designed. I don't see him being that number one guy for them. I'm sorry. And what Michael Thomas is able to do when he's on the field, it's just ridiculous. And I feel like with 3 catches and 17 yards, that's not going to do well for a lot of people. But
no. They still have Drew Brees. They still have Drew Brees.
Can you also put fire Adam Gase on there too, please?
Listen, man, Eagles. I would say the Eagles are more injury. Like, that's a more injury.
We already know about the Eagles. The Eagles are
Mike Thomas.
Swiss cheese. It's Swiss cheese on the line. We already know.
Three passes for 17 yards anyway. It's not like he really made a huge difference. It's Drew Brees. He still won the game.
Right.
There is.
Sorry, I can't do it. That defense won them that game. The defense and Alvin Kamara.
Darius, real quick before we have a full-blown argument come out here.
I want to say something about the 49ers. They signed the man Mohamed Sanu. I think that was a really good signing, especially with George Kittle going down. But
Thank you, Jerome.
I'm gonna go. All right, so hear me out. With the whole situation with Marlon Mack, right? I think Marlon Mack's time in Indianapolis is done after the season, simply because last year he had the hand injury. This year he has the season-ending injury, and you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, who's a rookie, who's on a rookie contract, his contract is a lot cheaper than what you potentially have to pay Marlon Mack. So I definitely think that. But I'm gonna agree with Avery with the 49ers, man. Like, you lose George Kittle, right? Arguably one of the best tight ends in the game, and you lose also an extra lineman because of his ability to block and help in the run game. And you lose Richard Sherman, who can really, he's still Richard Sherman. Like, at the end of the day, there's still Richard Sherman, man. And it's like you lose a guy who really is the leader on that defense, especially in the secondary. And it's like, now, who do the 49ers really have in that secondary that can really do what Richard Sherman does for the next, 3 to 4 weeks when he does come back for injury? And then, on the flip side, on the offense, who can really step up and replace George Kittle when he decides to come back? But I do love the signing of Mohamed Sanu. I think that was really a very underrated signing for the 49ers, especially because Mohamed Sanu has a lot to prove, especially being cut for the New England Patriots. He still wants to prove that, hey, I can still be that number 2 guy or potentially a number 1 guy.
I lost respect for those Patriots for cutting him. Not because they cut him, but when they cut him, it was like, it's so close to the season. You don't give him a chance to get in camp with anybody. Come on, man. Don't play him like that, like he's some slouch.
Most new, love. Let's go Scarlet Knights. Just had to say that real quick. And guys, as much as I like to give it, I'm unfortunately a biased person in this situation because my Jets are probably one of the more injury-riddled teams in the league right now. Avery Williamson, Le'Veon Bell, Brashard Perriman, Denzel Mims, major key components to what was supposed to be a make-or-break season for both Sam Darnold and Adam Gase. Is just not panning out the way it is. And I'm still keeping my hot take from a couple of weeks ago where I said that Adam Gase was on by week 8. And I have a lot of Jets fans of friends, Jets fans, who are saying tank for Trevor because they don't think they like what they see in Sam Darnold. Personally, when you have, for lack of better words, a crappy offensive-minded head coach, terrible weapons, and an offensive line that's just not cohesive yet in week 1, you can't just say already, tank for Trevor. All right. I don't give those evaluations until probably near the end of the season. And he's 23 years old still. All right. He's still developing as a quarterback and as a man. So give it time and pump the brakes.
Sam Darnold will be the man on the Browns.
I got a question. Right now, would you take Sam or Lawrence in the Jets offense?
Oh,
going into it healthy.
Sam.
Fully healthy.
Sam.
I like Sam. Sam's not a bad quarterback.
He's not a bad quarterback.
But it depends on the coach. Because would I have Deebo Samuel or would I have Adam Gase?
Sam.
And that it says a lot that Sanu got cut, given how bare the Pat wide receivers room really is. Can't agree with you more, Chris. There is quick comment on that before we move on to our final topic.
Listen, man. It's at the end of the day, it's all business. That's just pictured way. Belichick felt like, hey, listen, we don't want to keep you, and we can save a little bit of cap space. So, best of luck to you, and bye. That's just how it is. That's just at the end. We gotta remember the NFL is a business, guys.
Ain't nobody doing nothing. The Lawrence team played in the NFL. Yeah, I've seen Sam play in the NFL, and he does not play bad. Like Juan said, the offensive line is not great. They're not cohesive just yet. Their injury rhythm. He took some time to get into his rhythm last year, coming off the 4-game injury. But you saw toward the latter part of the season, he got into a rhythm. He started playing well, averaging 2 touchdowns per game. I've seen Sam Darnold play well. I've not seen Trevor Lawrence play well in the NFL. I'm taking Sam.
And plus, I am not a fan of tanking, and I will never encourage a team to tank going forward ever again. But guys, with that being said, we're moving into our final topic of today. It's a combination of the two topics we both love to do so much. It's week 2 game picks and hot takes for the week, gentlemen. And and it's week 2. We're experienced veterans when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I need you guys, give it to me spicy, burn me like a ghost pepper that they sell at Popeyes. So I'm gonna throw it over.
Not hot.
I want to give it to Darren first. Give me your game of the week and one hot take from that game and another hot take to go with it.
Oh, okay. So, all right, I got one for you. I'm going to go with right now, just to see, because I'm going to go off of what Avery said, what needs to happen for that generational talent. The Giants versus the Bears. Everyone is thinking the Bears will go in there and be able to win this game off of the defense, because we all know that Giants O-line was cheese. But hot take. Daniel Jones, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Saquon Barkley over 150 yards rushing. And Khalil Mack gets hurt in the first quarter.
Oh, did we just call for a player to get injured?
That's
what?
That's not a hot take.
And I'll say it like this. And I will say it like this. I will say it like this. I wish Khalil Mack does not get hurt. But for the hot take to happen, Khalil Mack would not be able to play in that game.
This man's making a parlay. That's something like he needs all this for a hot take.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the record, we have inside the hashes and at the Air That Podcast do not condone any player getting injured.
I hope.
We do not.
We do not. I hope.
My God. Oh, man. Okay.
Hey, Jerome, you got to take. We got to.
That's as bad as an Indian burn. That really hurts. Oh my God! Wow, that hurts the soul just thinking about it.
Man, yo.
Avery, can you burn me even more, man? What do you got? Darius, give me your burn instead, man. While Avery recovers.
All right. So my hot take is this: Gardner Minshew will lead the Jacksonville Jaguars to the playoffs, and they will win that division. I truly believe, because the Houston Texans, they're not there. Deshaun Watson cannot do it all by himself. So I genuinely believe Gardner Minshew will help the Jacksonville Jaguars win that division, and they will become a wild card team. My hot take and my game of the week, I'm going to be biased again. It's the game. To me, in my opinion, it's the game of the week, Cam Newton versus Russell Wilson. I think genuinely Cam is going to finish with 3 rushing touchdowns, and he's going to throw for over 250 yards, and we're going to get the win by more than 7 points.
No, Chris, we love you, man. If you want to come back on, just talk to Jerome.
Yeah, we need to talk.
Man.
Hey, Jerome, I got to talk to you after this episode, man. Darren is out of control. This is crazy, man.
Avery, are you okay? Can you give your hot takes real quick?
You asked the question.
I'm gonna try, Darren. You are something else. I don't even know
something else, yo.
All right. So my game pick, hot take. I'm going to say that the Lions upset the Packers, and I think it's not going to be close. I think the Lions are going to get busy on the Packers and really, really dig up in the Packers behind and kind of show them that they're here in the division, that Matthew Stafford is healthy, he's back, and that they're going to have to fight for the crown this year. My hot take in general, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. The Bengals. They win the division. I said it.
I'm out of here.
I said it.
If anyone's not paying, if anyone hasn't kept track, I've said for the past few weeks that the Bengals were not only going to beat the Ravens in both regular season games, but also upset them in a wild card game for a full season sweep. But Avery, with the division takeover by Cincinnati by the rookie Joe Burrow, I gotta get Darren's thoughts on this.
I'm gonna ask two simple questions to you, Avery, and depending on your answer is how I'm gonna treat this.
Okay.
So, what in that game versus the Chargers made you think that this is going to happen compared to what you've seen from the rest of the division,
Okay.
particularly in the Ravens and the Steelers?
Okay. And what's the second question?
What's wrong with you today? Do you have a headache? Like, are you sick? Or do we need to talk? Like, I just need to know. I just need to know. Yeah, like did Lamar die or something? Did I lose the memo? But hey,
what's wrong with me today is your comment wishing injury on a player. I had to throw fire on the flame. Like
Did you just give a hot take out of spite?
Yes, I did.
We need a substance check. Yeah, we need to start taking drug tests before this episode. We need to start doing that.
No. In all seriousness, I really what it is I'm bought in on the Joe Burrow hype. Like I saw this guy play in the NFL for the first time, and I said he does not look afraid. He looks young, of course.
I will give you that. I will give you that. He does not look bad.
He looked very, very comfortable. He did not look like anything was over. He didn't look like the moment overwhelmed him. He looked like he was just a rookie. He was a rookie making mistakes. Yes, I saw his pick, but again, that's a rookie mistake. Rookies make mistakes like that where you're like, wait, what? But that doesn't mean that. I'm talking about his demeanor. I'm talking about the way he stood in the pocket. I'm talking about the way he carried himself. He just didn't look like he was overwhelmed in this situation. And the reason I picked the Bengals again, one, out of spite, two, just because I have a weird feeling, just a small, weird feeling that the Ravens are going to have this like weird moment, like 5 or 6 games where they're just going to stall. And I don't know why, but they're just going to stall for like 5 or 6 games. And I think the Steelers, though their defense looks well, I think there's something on offense that just doesn't rub me the right way. I don't know if it's James Conner not being there or Juju really not. I mean, I know he scored twice, but he didn't.
That running back committee for me.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's my reason. But 75% of it is out of spite. That's why I said.
I will say this though. I will add this in though, where Avery's hot take. The Bengals defense is not that bad. Now I know they didn't face an elite quarterback, they faced Tyrod, but I like the Bengals defense, and I love that AJ Green was able to play, and I want to see him be able to play. If possible, all the games. I know it might be a little injury where he missed one game. I'm not wishing that on him, but it was really good to see AJ Green out there, especially going up against that San Diego secondary.
Guys, I want to just give my.
LA. I'm sorry, LA.
Before we wrap up today, I just want to give my game of the week, my take for that game, as well as, my real hot take. And the game of the week that I'm picking today is going to be the Thursday night matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. And before that, I'm just going to give my take for who I think is winning tonight.
You need a Joe Burrow jersey because the Bengals is winning, bro. That's what I'm saying.
I already have a bet going on with that with Darren. So we'll settle that as the season goes on. But I'm picking the Cleveland Browns to win tonight simply because I believe that despite being putrid last week against the Ravens, I think that Baker Mayfield can pick up the slack and be able to lead the Browns offense to a win over a putrid Bengals defense and a Joe Burrow who's just not ready yet for prime time. And I believe that the connection with Odell has to be better. It has to be, but it's not going to be the passing game that's going to win this game. No, it's going to be the rushing game because Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were combined for about 130, 140 yards last week against the Ravens. Wasn't great, but they are an effective ground and pound team, and that's the identity that Cleveland has to embrace in order to get the win here. With that being said, my hot take for the game is that I think that both the running back for the Bengals, Joe Mixon, and the running back for the Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb, are going to both have 100 yards rushing each and at least a touchdown each for the game. So it's going to be 200 yards combined and 2 touchdowns for both of them. Because Nick Chubb is an effective ground and pound down the line runner. Joe Mixon is great at also going down the middle, but has a little bit more of an elusive trait to him than Nick Chubb does. And both running styles that both teams employ work well for them. So I think there's going to be a 100-yard rushing for both of them. Now, as for my hot take in general, I'm going to go to the West Coast, and I'm going to hit it with the Kansas City Chiefs going against the San Diego Chargers.
Don't you do it.
And I'm gonna give it just as I predicted the upset of the Eagles against the Washington football team. I'm predicting that the Los Angeles Chargers will upset the Super Bowl champion Chiefs over in the opening of the Chargers Stadium of SoFi in Los Angeles. And I'm not stopping there, gentlemen. I'm predicting that pass rush by the Chargers is going to be nasty. Okay, I'm predicting that Joey Bosa is going to have 2 sacks on the game.
They barely beat the Bengals.
Melvin Gordon is going to have.
That don't count. That don't count.
And that Patrick Mahomes will throw at least 1 interception and fumble another ball away. And
I'm with Juan on this one. LA taking it, baby. Tyrod Taylor has an amazing game. He throws for 300 yards. My boy Tyrod goes off this game.
Wow. Okay, yep. Yep. No. Right there. You see what he's saying?
Hey,
we definitely need people.
After Sunday, we're gonna rendezvous and we're gonna talk that talk.
I'm convinced y'all are just reaching for hot takes at this point.
No,
I have substance on my side, guys. I do. Let me give it to you. Okay, yes, the Chiefs blew out a poorly coached team in the Houston Texans. All right, Anthony Lynn is not a scrub of a coach. All right, that running game that he's employed up there with Justin Kelly and Austin Eckler was effective against the Bengals defense. Granted, Bengals defense is trash, but at the same time, you don't expect the rushing game to have exploded the way that it did last week. Tyrod Taylor, a safe passer. Okay, he is not turnover prone, unlike many of the other great passers in the league. So he'll take care of the ball and deliver to who needs it. Okay, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, both great threats in the passing game and can do jump balls against a mediocre secondary that the Chiefs are employing. And as for Patrick Mahomes, that front seven, although it has gone through some injuries and some looks, can get to him. All right, and I know that he can get mobile and throw these impossible passes, but I just want to look back to a couple years ago. 2 years ago exactly, when Mahomes was under threat by Chargers defense and lost on Monday night in Arrowhead. And I'm hoping that spirit comes back and bites Kansas right where it hurts.
I'm with Juan on this one.
Hey, yo!
It's been a lot of wild by
hashtag I'm with Juan.
And guys, with that all being said, we're gonna wrap it here. We'll wrap it up here at the Air It Out podcast. For everyone that joined us, for Chris Thomas, for Jerome Jones, all our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us and commenting today. We really appreciate it. If you want to be part of the conversation, join our Inside the Hashes Discord. Just download the app and find us there, and you can join our fantasy news, football news, college football news, anything with the picks in you want to talk about. We're there for it. You can also check us out on our social media. On Facebook, we are Inside the Hashes, the football group. On Instagram, we are at Inside the Hashes, and on Twitter, we are at Inside Hashes. You can also find our fabulous collection of YouTube videos on our YouTube channel, Inside the Hashes, as well as on our website, InsideTheHashes.com. For the Air It Out podcast, for Darren, for Darius, for Avery, for Chris, for Jerome, for myself, I'm Juan Pablo Guardin Camargo. We'll see you next time.
Big Josh, whoa.
Cam for MVP, man.
Let Ryan for president.
Oh, God.
No.